It is your feel-good breakfast show, Expresso, live right here on SABC 3. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Thursday. And we've asked you on social media, and we've told you, rather, we are more powerful when we empower each other. Just a reminder. And so on hashtag World Mental Health Day, remember that it's okay to need others and to reach out for help. Share it with someone who needs the reminder. We received some of your comments on our Facebook page. Here is one from Shireen Abrams saying, "Good morning, my Expresso family. Happy Thursday. Here is some inspiring words. Love is not only something you feel, it is something you do. Friendship is the most constant, the most enduring, the most basic part of love. Love grows by giving. The love we give away is the only love we keep." Have a great day, my feel-good breakfast family. Thank you so much. Such a beautiful message. Thank you so much, Shireen. And we've got another one here from Sello Makoto saying, "Good morning. Yes, guys, you're doing nice work each time and empowering us day by day. Thanks for this." And I think it's very important. It's important to open up the conversation so that it trickles down to all the many homes across South Africa, so that everyone knows that it's okay to seek help, but it's also okay to receive someone looking for help. Lena Fantura says, "If you know someone with a mental illness, please don't make them feel like they have to prove how unwell they are. They're fighting a misunderstood, invisible illness that is life-threatening. Please be kind." And at the end of the day, we all do really have a responsibility. It's a human responsibility to be kind to one another.
Yes, so today is, as you have now picked up, World Mental Health Day. We commemorate it on the 10th of October every year, where we are shining a light on how we can help each other and ourselves to make sure that we are looking after the state of our mental health. And we're going to now chat to an artist, a writer, and a mental health activist, Yvette Hess, who herself has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Yvette, welcome. Thank you so much for putting yourself out there. I'm a firm believer that we all exist in some way or another on this great spectrum of mental health and disorder. It's very easy for us to try to kind of classify it to make it easier to understand, but the bottom line is that it is very difficult to understand, especially if you're grappling with something as we speak. Maybe I can ask from your own personal perspective, why it's so important for you to put yourself out there and what we need to do on a grassroots level to get the awareness out there.
Well, I think firstly, awareness is important, and these awareness days and awareness campaigns are really important because it teaches you the language. I think in the grassroots level, we're not really understanding the language, whether it's anxiety or depression. We would rather say, "Oh, she's full of moods," or, you know, and the thing is, when you take away the language, you don't understand what it involves. And if you don't understand what it involves, you cannot empower the other person or assist or help the person who is suffering.
Yeah, or you can't help yourself, and it's so difficult to navigate that. I think that the real danger here is, I mean, it's a spiral, and you can start to feel absolutely worthless when you aren't able to control. I think a lack of control, or a loss of that control, is a big part of that. Where does that start within ourselves to create that safe place so we can start broaching it ourselves, start dealing with it, and most importantly, connect with someone else to be able to deal with it? Because ultimately you do have to speak to someone.
Exactly. So for me, the important starting point is actually reading about blogs and other people's experiences, because in that way you connect. It's very easy to find symptoms online. You know what the facts are, but to see it in real life, I think that's the most important. And in that way you feel less disconnected, because it's quite an isolating illness, you know, mental illness, especially if you feel like you're the only one going through it. So in that way, reading through other people's blogs and other people's experiences and listening when others are sharing their stories, it becomes easier for you to understand and then take responsibility for your own illness.
That sense of powerlessness, that's not something just that we that are struggling with an issue feel, but those that are close to you, I think, are desperately wanting to help, maybe don't have the language, the means to be able to do that. What would you say, knowing your own experiences, what do you say to a person that you think is going through something, no matter how small, whether it's situational or whether you think it's a larger mental health issue, how do you approach them in a safe way and make them, at least in some small way, feel like you connect and understand? Where do we start?
I think the first place is to understand that it is beyond the person's control. I think if that is the first step, because I find with a lot of people who need to be in the supportive role, in the carer role, there's a lot of judgment because they think it's something you can understand. So if you come from that place...
man. Now you've identified it, just sort yourself, you know?
Exactly. So that's the first point of call. And then, again, reading about other people's experiences so that you can have some sort of insight into what that person is experiencing. And in that way, you connect and you create that sense of empathy. And then, obviously, with the facts, the diagnosis, what it entails. But just being there, being aware, being self-aware, obviously, in terms of how you're dealing with the person and see how they are also experiencing their illness.
Sometimes it's conversation, sometimes it's a diagnosis, sometimes it's a medication. There are so many ways that we can approach this, but you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
As someone who is very clearly, because you present as a very confident, very sharing, very open, very aware person, what's your mantra? What do you tell yourself to remain equipped and empowered to deal with what you're going through, bipolar disorder?
That it's okay to not always be okay. And that even though I have a mental illness, I'm still empowered. I can decide, I have the capability, I have dreams that are valid, even though I have a mental illness. I can still go on, I can still thrive, not just survive.
Clearly, you can thrive, and you're helping other people do that as well. Thank you so much. I know it takes a lot to beat back something like this, knowing the stigma, knowing the weight of it, but it takes even more to put yourself out there and say, okay, well, I'm going to use my journey to inspire others. And I would imagine, just like you have learned so much through other people's experiences, others right now are looking at you going, okay, actually, you know what? Maybe there is something I can do. Hopefully, where can they find you? Where can they read your blogs? Where can they learn about more of your experience?
Well, most of my activities on Instagram, because it's just so much more, it's just easier. That's where you'll find a lot of my, it's Insta, exactly. A lot of my writing and my artwork you'll find there, and you can follow me on Instagram.
You're a superstar. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. This really has been an inspirational show, but hopefully in some way we have broken down that stigma so you yourself can start relating to this topic. Just start broaching these ideas for yourself and then reach out to someone else. And this is the number that you have to call, 0800 456789. That's SADAG, the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. They've got some amazing counsellors waiting, ready to chat to you right now. Just take that first step. Just that first step. Reach out to someone.